Hi everyone, we're just goofing around a little bit here before we start iLUMA Calamity Jane. So you all will need a storyboard. It looks like this. If you don't have one, I'm going to share my screen right now and show you where you can go to get it. I put a link already in the chat. If your chat box isn't open, go ahead and open it. Okay, so this is where you would need to go. There's a link directly for you in the chat box, sfcemusic.com/iluma-online. And you can download the storyboard here by clicking this. This will give you a PDF file that you can print, or you can right click and copy the image or save it and then open it and paste it into Microsoft Paint. In regular Microsoft Paint, you click the paint can, and then of course the colors are blocked by all my stuff. So you would make your color and then click it onto here. If you can't fill it in as much as you'd like to, you can use the eraser tool to kind of erase. You can also change the size. So we can go to view and we can zoom out to make things bigger so that you can get more detail when you're working with Microsoft Paint. And see how all the spaces, if I just kind of use my eraser here and get rid of some stuff, then when I go to fill it in, I can fill in more space. So click the paint can, click the color that you want, and then you just insert it this way. So you can go electronically this way, or you can print it. And once again, the website that you need to go to is here in the chat box, right here. I'll go there and show you that again, just so that we know that everybody has the storyboard who wants to color today. And here it is. So here's that website. You can see the web address up here. You can see that it has the storyboard here. You can download it as a PDF file and print it, or you would save this image as and then open it in some kind of software that allows you to color. If you don't want to color, you don't have to color. If you prefer to draw your own images, you're welcome to do that as well. Today's program is going to contain a little bit of dancing, a little bit of coloring, and listening to the story. So feel free to engage in whatever way works best for you. We'll also be asking you some questions as we go, and iLUMA works this way. So for each panel, they're each numbered. I'll read the narration that goes with the panel, and what we're asking you to do is listen for the colors that associate with the different parts of the image and then color it in based on the colors that I say in the narration. While you're doing that, we're going to be playing some music that is American music, and a lot of it is stuff that you're going to know. So you should recognize pretty much everything we're going to play today. And we'll have a couple of dance breaks just to give you a moment to stand up and move around a little bit if you want to. How much you participate is completely up to you. So if you don't want to color, you can draw. If you don't want to color or draw, you can just listen. If you don't want to dance, you don't have to participate. We're asking that everybody stay muted unless you have a question. If you have a question, you can type it into the chat box, or you can unmute in a moment when there's no other sound happening and ask your question. You can also raise a hand if you want to ask a question and not interrupt the program as it moves forward. And feel free, if you do want to talk to us, to turn your camera on so we can see you. Are there any questions before we get started? Does everybody have a copy of the storyboard? Anybody who wants to color? So to type into the chat box, all you have to do is click the 3 dots at the bottom of your screen and open the chat box. You should leave that open so that if you have any questions, you can write something there. And then to mute and unmute, you have a mute button you have a microphone button that looks like an old school microphone that you would click in order to mute. And if you're on the phone, you can mute your phone. I see that some of you are on the phone. So go ahead and mute your phone. And then if you have any questions, you can unmute and ask those questions. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I think we're gonna get started, but please, if you have any questions, go ahead and type it into the chat box as I'm speaking. So we're starting here with our first image, which is Calamity Jane herself. So remember, you're listening for keywords that are colors, and you're gonna listen for where they go. You also wanna be, since there's a lot of different parts to Calamity Jane here, you also wanna make sure that when you hear the hat color, you grab that crayon and color just a little bit of the hat. When you hear the hair color, same thing, shirt, pants, shoes. And then you can continue to fill it in, but that way you won't miss any of the colors. During the show today, we're going to introduce the musicians that are behind me and the instruments that we play, so you'll have an opportunity to meet the musicians as well as learn a little bit about the instruments that we play. So let's get started. The colors that you're gonna need today are blue, black, yellow, brown, and red. So if you wanna go ahead and pull those out of your crayon box or colored pencil box. And just remember, you can't erase crayon. So think before you insert any color in there. Although my son erases crayon, so he finds a way, but you can't erase black and then cover it with yellow. We can still see the black. But he's getting pretty good at erasing crayon because he doesn't really listen to directions. All right, here we go. He'll pop into the meeting at some point, I'm sure, because he has a way of making it into every webinar that I've done for the past 6 months. He's in kindergarten. Of all the crazy horse races that ever happened in the Wild West, Calamity Jane rode some of the wildest. She was that kind of gal. One of the wildest happened in Deadwood one summer afternoon. Calamity Jane's real name was Martha Jane Cannery, and she came from Princeton, Missouri. Or I should say, Missouri. The sun gleamed on her bright red hair, and a stranger smiled at the sight of this woman. She was head and shoulders over most girls. That's why I'm sitting, I'm kind of short. And she wore a white shirt, blue jeans, and black boots with a yellow cowboy hat, and looked almost like a fella. In fact, a lot of people thought she was a fella, since she could out-talk and outride and outwork most of them. All right, I hope you caught all those colors. Let's go over it. From head to toe, we've got the hat color. What color was her hat? Somebody type it in the chat, or unmute yourself and tell me the color of the hat. Anyone? Crickets? I need a little cricket sound effect. Although maybe, the cricket sound effect only works for like us old timers here. Anyone? You can do it privately if you don't want everyone else to see it. Then there's a little to button in the chat, and if you click on the arrow, you can send a message just to whoever you want, whoever you see there. So it's possible to not share it with the world. Okay, since no one's answering, I'll assume you know all the colors, but just in case, I'm gonna stand up because the colors are mostly mine. Her hair color is not my hair color, but I could not change the hair color. And that's the same color. It's not this color of hair. It is this color of shirt. It's this color of pants. And it's this color of boots. All right, we're gonna play a little song for you while you're coloring that in, or drawing it if you prefer. If you draw her, make sure you make her taller than this, because she's pretty tall. And you're gonna recognize the tune, so I'm not gonna tell you what it is just yet. But since we know Calamity Jane's got a lot of parts, we're gonna play something else while you're finishing it up. And this is from our first program, which is coming up November 14th and 15th, that is about the Founding Fathers. And we're going to play two pieces of music in between our Calamity Janes that come from Founding Fathers. You probably didn't know that any of our Founding Fathers wrote music. They did. And you may not even know these Founding Fathers because there's like 27 Founding Fathers, maybe more. It's 30 something, 43 Founding Fathers. I learned this today. We're going to start with My Days Have Been So Wondrous Free. Even if you disagree with it, don't worry, there's no lyrics. And it's by the Founding Father, Francis Hopkinson. And today is actually the anniversary of the death of the first signer of the Declaration of Independence. Anybody know who that is? You should, because we use his name as another way of saying sign something. Put your John, fill in the blank here. Okay, while you're thinking about that and coloring, My Days Have Been So Wondrous Free.
I heard it.
Hancock? John Hancock, that's right. And this is by Francis Hopkinson. So hopefully you're done with your coloring. If not, set it aside because it's time for our first dance break. Okay, what was the name of the first song we played? I'll give you a hint. Anybody?
Heads, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yes, that's the one. So we're gonna do that 4 times. We're gonna start nice and slow in case you can't remember where your body parts are. I know it's been like 6 months since you were in school and maybe you've forgotten. So we'll ease into it a bit and then we'll get a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. So here we go. Two thumbs up on that. Okay, let's try it a little bit faster this time. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. All right, a little bit faster. We got this. to panel number 2. This is the state flag of South Dakota coming up here. Before she turned 20 years old, she landed a job as a scout. And from that day on, her life was one long adventure. She wasn't afraid of anything or anyone. One year, a fella named Captain Egan watched her perform courageous acts during the Battle of Black Hills in South Dakota. And it was he who gave her the name Calamity Jane, after she saved dozens of stagecoach passengers, and after she plunged her horse right into the swelling rivers, unafraid to cross anything. Nothing was too deep or too wide or too tough for Calamity Jane. He raised the South Dakota flag to her. It's blue with yellow letters and triangles and a white insignia. So unless you're from South Dakota, you've probably never seen the state flag, so here it is. Flags are kind of hard to color because there's a lot of little small pieces in there, so do the best you can. Try to get the blue background, as much of the yellow on the inside as you can get in that little tiny insignia. And we're going to play the state anthem of South Dakota now, which you probably haven't heard either.
It's just raining.
Huh?
I said it's just raining.
It's just raining. It's little. We're moving on to panel number 3. When Jane worked as a Pony Express rider, carrying mail between Deadwood and Custer, 50 tough miles over rough terrain, she was unstoppable. And when she drove black oxen, the other drivers stood in awe of her. Anyone know what an oxen is? It's just the strange English plural for ox. So we only have one, because otherwise it'd come out too small. So we're coloring in our ox here, even though oxen is in the story and it's the plural. And for that, we're gonna play Home on the Range. So we did this program earlier and somebody asked who wrote Home on the Range. And I said, well, a lot of these pieces are written by people that we've never heard of. Pretty much everything we've played so far is by people we've never heard of. And somebody suggested it was Stephen Foster. It's not Stephen Foster, just in case. So here's Home on the Range as you color in panel number 3, which is your ox. recorded applause. We didn't do that. We should do that. If that was recorded applause, please send it to us. You can do that on all the concerts. We really need applause. Like, we just did our first concert in 6 months where we had an audience, a whopping 5 people, socially distanced. But it was lovely to have somebody applaud. It's very nice. That's the one thing that we miss.
Yay! We love it.
Okay, before we move on to the next panel, I want to start introducing the members of the South Florida Chamber Ensemble. So behind me over here is Marie Schwartz, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the flute.
Howdy, everybody. This is a flute. It is a woodwind instrument, but there is no wood. They used to be made of wood, but now they're made out of silver and gold. The flute is in 3 pieces, a head joint, a body, and a foot joint. I'm going to take the head joint out. And the way that I make a sound is I just make my lips into a small circle as if I'm going to blow into a straw, and then I just blow air into the embouchure hole. And then I can make silly sounds. I can play, or I can sound like a trombone. Or a slide whistle.
That's the funniest trombone I ever heard.
And then, if I put it into the body here, I can make a beautiful flute sound.
Thank you so much, Marie, for showing us the flute. So we're ready now for our 4th panel. Here it is. It's the man on the horse. So after all these many adventures, Calamity Jane was sitting on her horse Jim one summer day. A stranger happened to ride into town that day on a black horse. He was wearing a black hat, a white shirt with a red bandana, blue jeans, and brown boots. And when he heard the tales of Calamity Jane, he decided he'd like to meet her. When he saw her sitting on her horse, he rode right up and said, "Hello there, ma'am. I heard you're a mighty racer. I was wondering, care to race horses with me?" That was a lot of color, so let's see if we can take it apart from top to bottom again. All right, his hat is the same hat as somebody's hat behind me. He's wearing the same color shirt that I am. And he's got a bandana on, but it's not that color. I have nothing to show you that color. And then he's sitting on a horse that's the same color as his hat. And his pants are the same color as my pants, but his boots are a different color than our boots. Okay, hope you caught all those colors. Who needs to come closer? I'm as close as I can be. Somebody wrote in the chat box. It's hard to hear.
Maybe me.
Is anyone finding me hard to hear?
The other musicians
Okay.
when they're describing the instruments.
Okay, sure thing.
Yeah.
We'll get closer. That's why I'm way up here. Also to make me look bigger, because you know the story's about a really tall girl and I'm like super short. Okay. All right, are we all set then for panel number 4? Hopefully. And we're going to play She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain. like whistling. Okay, I know there's a lot to color in panel number 4, so before we go to our dance break, I'm gonna introduce the other musician that's behind me. This is Christine Pascual Fernandez, who's going to talk very loudly so you can hear all about the clarinet.
Howdy, y'all. If I could stand up, I'd be off the screen because I'm super tall like Calamity Jane. But here we have a clarinet. It is a woodwind instrument. It is actually made of wood, unlike the flute. It's grenadilla wood. And I also have quite a few parts. She has 3, I have about 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up in the mouthpiece here, I have 3 separate parts to play on, one of which is a bamboo cane reed, and that's what allows my sound to come out. So if I put all those parts together and I play from my very lowest note on the clarinet up high, this is what I would sound like. Thank you.
Should we do one again? I can go up there.
So thank you, Christine, for sharing with us the clarinet. So now it's time for our dance break. If you're not done, just, stop working for a moment if you want to dance or not. Okay, so she'll be coming around the mountain, has like 27 verses, but we're just gonna do the first 2. And the first one is, of course, she'll be coming around the mountain. So we're going to stand up and walk around our chair or station, wherever you are. And then the second set of lyrics is she'll be driving 6 white horses. I always thought she was riding 6 white horses, and I thought, how could you possibly be big enough to ride 6 horses at the same time? But then I read the lyrics and I was like, oh, okay, she's just driving them. Okay, so for that, I'm gonna step back and show you that choreography. All right, so we're going to drive our 6 white horses this way. Okay, and then I'm just going to walk around my music stand here after I safely remove the instrument from the space. And I'll be going around my music stand. All right, here we go. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. Anyone else feeling that one in your knees? There's a lot of knee bends in this program. Who knew American music had so much of that in there? Okay, anybody need more time to finish up our stranger on the horse? So while I'm waiting to see if anyone needs more time, let me ask you a question. What is the name of Calamity Jane's horse? Anybody remember the name of the horse? It's a funny name for a horse. As if there are funny names for horses. We're broadcasting to you here from Parkland, lots of horses here. I don't know the names of the horses that are my neighbors. Anybody remember the name of the horse? It's a boy's name, if that helps. All right, well, the next image is Calamity Jane's horse, Jim. Like most strangers, this one was certain that any of his horses could outrun Jim in any conditions at all. And he was certain that any man could always beat a woman at anything. Calamity's eyes twinkled, or so the people who were standing nearby said. You see, Calamity Jane loved a challenge, and she was just as certain that this fella was somebody who could not outrace her. Happy to take you up on that deal, she said, bowing her head. You named the distance, the stranger said. After all, she was just a girl, and he was trying to be polite. But Calamity shook her head and said, no, you do that. What conditions? Asked the stranger. You can name those 2, Jane said, and she grinned and patted her Jim. a white horse with black hair and a brown saddle. Okay, so just in case you don't live in horse country, so our horse is here. So we're getting the parts of the horse, that color. The hair is up here and also the tail, and the saddle's right there. That's the part that you sit on so that you don't hurt the horse in the process of riding it. Okay, hopefully you've got the colors for that and you're ready. And we're going to play Yankee Doodle. I love the delayed reaction of the audience. Okay, it's my turn now to introduce the instrument that I'm playing. You got a little introduction into it already with the rain that happens in brass instruments. So this instrument's made of brass and it's called the horn, and it's like bigger than my face. When I'm standing up, I just look like a head with a horn for a body and legs. It's definitely not the size of Calamity Jane. Mine is in 3 parts. The bell comes off, then I have the centerpiece, and then I have my mouthpiece here. If I take my horn apart, it'll take too long to put it back together. But what I do to play the instrument is buzz my lips, kind of like a farting sound. And then when I do that into my mouthpiece, it sounds like a duck. But when I put it all together, it's the loudest thing you've ever heard. So you'll notice that the ladies in the back already covered their ears. I suggest you cover yours too. It's a pretty loud sound. So the original function of the brass instruments was to kind of let you know, hey, there's a giant dinosaur with little big teeth that's hungry for people. Maybe you should run. And that's what the function of the instrument was. And then, you know, several millennia later, they used the horn to call the dogs in a hunt. So the horn player would be seated on a horse, and that's the reason why we put our hand in the bell, right? Is because originally the instrument was right-handed. So we would hold the reins with this hand and hold the instrument with the other hand, and then play it like that. So we would be manipulating stuff with our right hand over here instead of the left hand. And that's the reason that the instrument points backwards. You notice that I'm pointing in the opposite direction. 1, because it's loud, but 2, because the horses and the riders and the dogs were all back there, and all the animals that they were chasing were forward. So we pretty much have a history that's based on killing animals. Not a great history for this instrument, but now we play indoors. We try not to shatter the glass when we do it, and we try to play pretty music as much as we possibly can. So that's the horn. All right, show of hands, how many people think the Calamity Jane is gonna win this race? Crickets. I'm telling you, we have sound effects in here. What do you think? Okay, how many people want Calamity Jane to win this race? Let's see what happens. And the last picture is the saloon right here. 20 feet seat back here from this platform where our horses stand," she said, pointing at the two horses. "That's where we'll start. Then we'll jump the horses up onto the platform and we'll ride into the red saloon with a brown roof and a blue door. We'll give our horses a drink and ride out through the back door. Then we'll ride on to the next saloon, ride in, give our horses a drink and ride out to the back. And we'll ride on and on all the way down the street into each saloon." They mounted their horses and off they galloped. Calamity Jane won the race by 3 saloons. People say no strangers ever challenged her again. Nobody could beat Calamity Jane, not even the wildest man of the wild, wild west. All right, hope you got the colors of our saloon. We've got a roof color. That's the roof here. We got a barn color, and then we got the color of the doors. So color in your barn. And now we will play some Stephen Foster. The next piece is called Camptown Races. Stephen Foster is also the author of the Florida State Song. Anyone know the title of the Florida State Song? Crickets?
Swanee River. So way down upon the Swanee River.
Yes, so the name of the song is actually called Old Folks at Home.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
But the lyrics are way down upon the Swanee River, right? So everyone assumes that the first couple of lyrics are the title of the song, but Stephen Foster decided to call it something else. But we don't like calling it Old Folks at Home either, because we're not old folks. I'm at home. This is my house. I ain't old folk. Okay, so anyway, Florida folk at home. I don't know. So we like to call it Swanee River too, and here it is. Camptown Races by Stephen Foster. It's kind of short, don't you think? We're gonna try it one more time. Marie Schwartz on the flute.
Whoa.
Christine Pascual Fernandez on the clarinet. Now it's on the glass. And my name is Mirna Mirov, and this is the horn. Thank you all so much for participating in today's iLUMA Calamity Jane. We hope you'll join us again at our next program where we're going to be doing Can Dr. King Sing? It's an original story about the civil rights movement and Dr. King's involvement. Thank you all so much for participating. At the bottom of your storyboard, you should see our email address so you can mail this to us. If you've colored in your storyboard, we want to see your beautiful artwork. So sfcemusic@gmail.com. So if you did it electronically, you can just save it and send it over. If you printed it, you can take a picture and then email that to us, or you can scan it in and send it over to us. And please do join us on the 29th for Can Dr. King Sing? Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.
And don't forget to send that over to me because I want that. I want like a dedicated button on my computer that just has applause on it. My son has one that goes wah, 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 wah.
That's hysterical.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. This was a wonderful program. I appreciate all your hard work in bringing this up to the virtual space. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Myrna, and the rest of the South Florida Chamber Ensemble.